as an annual reminder to thank those who have served the Republic, that is our country, all in the pursuit of protecting democracy and the freedoms we all share. But just as it is a day of remembrance, we must also seize upon the opportunity to determine how it is we as veterans and a nation who honors them wants them to be remembered. We must be proactive in framing the story, paying particular attention to the story and the role that women play and have played in the military. By most of the public's perception, women and the military conjure up images that are not so patriotic. When the news or conversations between friends turns to women in the military, typically they are around topics such as sexual assault, neglect, and discrimination. Women of the active military and our veterans deserve our attention, not just worthy, by most of the public's perception, women in the military, when they conjure up those images, we want their attention to be more of one where we have worthy and workable solutions toward their fair treatment and so much more. Year after year, the Department of Defense experiences tens of thousands of reports of sexual assault within their ranks. And it's believed, just as it is in civilian society, that there are countless reports that countless incidents that go unreported. Additionally, year after year, reports, studies, and task force hearings before Congress go into great detail to the data of sexual assault cases. They lay out for the public the ramifications that these incidents have not only on the victims, but the entire unit. Morale and cohesion suffer, elevated reports of PTSD, and other stresses develop, both in women and in the men. Women must also go through a discriminatory standard of promotion. With one arm tied behind our backs, the culture of advancement in the military is predicated in part on certain accomplishments. We honor and reward those who go into battle and demonstrate valor, but for some reason, women are not permitted to take part in that service. It would be like telling a barber that he would get paid more if he cut more people's hair, and then telling him that his scissors are too sharp to do the job. But that's exactly what's happening with women. We now have women who have passed the rigors of Army Ranger School. So difficult, I wouldn't even try it. But they're now being denied the opportunity to lead and command Special Forces units. And as an aside, did you know there's only ever been one female winner of the Congressional Medal of Honor? Mary Walker, 1861, during the Civil War. But because women are playing an increased and vital role in our all-volunteer military, when they decide to hang up their uniforms and go back to civilian life, you would think that there would be an increased amount of support and appropriate care for those women who are seeking care at the VA. But unfortunately, the VA has been too slow to adopt and to recognize and adapt their programming for those thousands of women who seek out treatment. And so they're left without care. In all of these cases, real, tangible actions can and should occur as the first step into reversing the culture. So when it comes to sexual assault, let's demand fair prosecution of those who commit crimes and not just chalk it up to a male-dominated profession. Let's ensure that victims are treated so that they don't continue to suffer. And such, we can help them in finding gainful employment and then also seeking maybe substance abuse counseling once they leave the military. To end discrimination in the process of promotion, if a soldier, sailor, Marine, or airman passes the test, you pass Army Ranger School, they've earned the right to do their job. It makes no sense that anyone who demonstrates not only the willingness, but the ability to do a job, that they would be denied the opportunity to do that job. And when it comes to life after the military, and women need to seek out services at the VA, the solution is really simple. Let's hire a damn OBGYN at the VA. I mean, after all, women, we're the ones that are giving birth to the next generation of our future protectors of democracy. But as I said previously, these solutions are only the first step. You see, all of those issues that I've talked about so far deal with those negative connotations of women in the military. This Veterans Day is a day of remembrance, remember? It's time we change that narrative and place a spotlight on all those amazing acts of valor, courage, and service women take part in every day. Not just while in uniform, but as veterans as well. Let's take Danielle Green. Danielle Green, she is a standout basketball player at Notre Dame and returned after graduation to Chicago and worked within the public school district there to develop sports programs for kids. In 2002, she enlisted in the Army, became an NP, and deployed to Iraq. While on security duty on a rooftop, Danielle was hit in her left arm, her dominant shooting arm, in basketball, by a rocket-propelled grenade. Her arm was amputated. But that didn't beat her. Today, she has taken the lessons and experiences she endured through this traumatic event and now counsels other combat veterans. And as a result of her service to her community, you may have seen her recently on ESPN as the 2015 recipient of the Pat Tillman Award. Or how about Andrea Marr, a personal friend of mine? She's a 2005 graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy who served 3 tours during Operation Iraqi Freedom, 2 of them as a gunnery officer. Oh, and she's also an aerospace engineer. She combined her education and her military experience in an effort called Operation Free that's transforming our military to clean energy and making our military a clean energy fighting force, which will reduce our dependence on foreign oil, all in an effort to secure America's future. Andrea was honored recently by the White House and the Secretary of the Navy as a champion of change for her revolutionary work. And then there's social entrepreneur Emily Nunez Cavness. She's an active duty Army officer. Emily created a company called Sword and Plow. Sword and Plow is a bag company where she takes and repurposes military bags and their surplus materials, and she employs veterans, she makes everything right here in America, and then turns around and donates 10% of all of their profits, as well as donating bags and backpacks to a wide range of charities to improve local communities across our nation. Our veterans, our female veterans, though their service in uniform may have come to an end, they are continuing to serve here at home, in their own communities. It is that same commitment to service, as well as my own personal life experience, that led me to One Push Up and creating this nonprofit. And a little bit about my story. I grew up the youngest of 10, 5 girls. I challenge all of you to think of our veterans in a new way. Be the people to start changing that narrative on what our veterans mean to our community. Share Danielle's story. Share Andrea's story. Share Emily's story. Maybe even share mine. And when you do, you will help America see that while it's nice to be thanked on Veterans Day, if you really want to help veterans, help them find ways to serve again here at home. When you do, not only will our veterans be grateful, But in this day of remembrance, you will be helping to create a legacy for a new generation of veterans, women and men alike. Thank you so much for listening.